All right, folks, let's bring in our next guest, former Congressman, a Presidential Medal of Freedom recipient, the CEO of Trump Media and Technology Group, and the chairman of the President's Intelligence Advisory Board. Also, I will add, good friend of mine. Happy to have Devin Nunes back here in studio. Thank you for joining us.
You know, this is actually I think this is my first time ever in studio with you. Because I used to go on your
like back in the Fox days or news.
Even Fox days, because when you first started on Fox, it was at the early days of Fox Business.
Yeah. Oh,
and remember you had that show in the afternoon, and that's when I would go on that show.
Happy hour.
And it was always I was always via satellite.
Right.
So it's good, but look, I love the studio.
Thank you for doing it.
I love everything you guys are doing here at Real America's
Voice is legit, man. This is a beautiful studio. We're killing it here. Can we talk a little the shutdown and, you know, being a former congressman, you see what the left is doing. They're trying to blame Trump. The reality is Trump doesn't want to spend $1 trillion allowing illegals to get. What are your thoughts as former congressman?
It's just a whole stupid process that's occurring here, that if there was a normal media in this country, the Democrats couldn't sustain this. So I was there back in, I think it was 2013, when we had the Ted Cruz led shutdown. And if you remember at that time, Senator Cruz's position was, we're not going to open the government till we get rid of Obamacare. And there were many people who said, wait a second, Obama's president, like, you don't have the votes, you need 60 votes in the Senate. How is this ever going to work? You know, Senator Cruz got excruciated, you know, just crucified by the press, by the fake news. You know, many of us, I mean, myself at the time said, look, you know, this is not, you know, they're going to make it really painful. Obama's going to make it really painful for many of us if the government is shut down. You know, ultimately, I think that lasted about 2 weeks. You know, well, we're already past that here. And this is going on and on. The Republicans passed a clean, what's called a continuing resolution. Okay, Eric, but more than that, this is a clean continuing resolution based on Biden or Obama's third term budget.
I love that. That's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, it's there. So why would they not just pass a clean one? It makes no sense to
but
do this.
Here, you know, Devin,
let
me ask you, and just the folks know that my issue with all of these has been, look, at the tail end of Trump 45, he had to put $1 trillion into the economy to keep us pumping. COVID was literally shutting the world down, and he did. And it's a temporary COVID spend. But then Biden comes in and doesn't consider that temporary. He makes that the new base. So $4 trillion becomes $5.5 trillion new base. Biden jacks up another $1 trillion in infrastructure, supposedly one time, and helping people through the tail ends of COVID. Temporary spending, which I kind of get, don't love it, but then this temporary spending always continues to create a new base, and now here what we at $7 trillion, $7.5 trillion. You know.
So you're gonna laugh about this, or I'm probably one of the only Republicans that I actually preferred CRs. I used to argue, let's just, because at least the CRs actually freeze spending to last year's number. Okay. And because what you're saying is, well, can't you cut? Well, my whole career, my whole life, whole lifetime, they've never been able to cut. They've never cut. So I remember one year we went for 2 years with a continuing resolution.
But they pretend
I said, this is
temporary.
Great.
There's nothing temporary
about
spending.
There's nothing temporary. That's right. So look, it would be nice if the challenge that you have, and I know people get frustrated with this, and this was the same problem that Elon ran into, is you can't just cut or doze your way into balancing the budget. There's only one way, and it's difficult, and that is
line item.
No, you have to take healthcare. Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The system's totally inefficient, and we're spending. I haven't looked at it. It's been a while since I've been in. It's been 3 years since I left Washington. 3.5 now. I think it's about 20% of GDP in this country is going to healthcare. And yet healthcare, and it's the most in the world, per capita, and the healthcare is getting worse. Yeah,
mandatory spending is brutal. It's out of
and the challenge is, you got 50 states, 50 different. You got Medicaid, you got Medicare, and to get in there and fix the healthcare system is a massive lift. And you have the left who just want to do socialized medicine, which is what they did with it, which is why they're saying we're shutting the government down until we get $1 billion more. And
Trillion.
And at the trillion, yeah, $1 trillion more. Yeah, sorry. Sorry. And this is going to be the challenge. Ultimately, there's going to have to be the leadership to take on this healthcare crisis and deal with it. But right now, you got President Trump, who's doing more than any president in our lifetime because he's going 7 days a week. He's dealing with Russia, Ukraine, the stuff in Israel, all of these things that he's doing. And yet you now have the Democrats who are shutting down the government because they want even more money put into healthcare. I mean, it's a tough place to be. Ultimately, it's going to have to be. So the only other way, and you know this better than anybody, so you have two choices. You can either fix healthcare, which means you're going to have to, drive efficiencies to it, or you have to grow the economy. And you have to. And last time when we did the Trump tax cuts in 17, 18, the economy, the tax revenue actually went up.
Yeah,
right?
You grow the economy, you bring in more tax revenue, and it pays taxes for the overspending at times.
At times, we cut taxes, but the revenue went up.
Dumb question, and I hate tariffs. It's just I'm a free market guy. I hate the idea of government messing with the free markets at all. But if there were going to be a great use of tariff money, maybe keep the government shut down and use the tariff collections. And to be honest with you, it's about the same. Trump says he's got $250 billion coming in a few months. The whole federal payroll on the 1.5 million employees is about $650 billion. You can almost you could certainly cover mandatory or the most important spending, military, Social Security, anything that's at the top of the list. You could certainly cover with the tariff income. What about that idea?
Well, look, they can put Band-Aids together, but they're going to have to open the government back up. I mean, this is like I started out with. It's the fake news per usual covering for these guys, doing something that is. I mean, this is utter chaos and stupidity. They, now whether or not they can pass a new budget and do all the things they want to do, I don't know, but they should be passing a clean continuing resolution because anytime you do this, and this is where Trump can actually win on some of this. If they continue to be idiots and keep the government closed down, the president it gets to a certain point. There's a lot of different rules and regulations, but he can start making permanent cuts. So he will make it ultimately painful for him. What he's been trying to do, unlike Obama. Remember when Obama did, when we had that shutdown 10, 12 years ago now that we talked about earlier. So I had some of the national parks were in my backyard in California, Yosemite National Park, Square Kings Canyon, the mall in Washington, D.C., Obama and the left, what they did is they hurt all of these small businesses that were around these national parks because they shut them all down. They just shut them all down, said Republicans won't open it up. And these poor people that were, largely small businesses, hunting, fishing, bait and tackle shops, that sort of thing. He screwed them. Yeah. President Trump is actually doing everything he can to pay the troops, keep the parks open, keep everything rolling. So hopefully they just come to their senses and they just open the government back. Yeah. That's what should happen.
And I'm on the other side saying keep it shut down.
Well, look. I mean, look. I understand. We don't disagree philosophically.
If you were in Congress and part of the government shutdown meant not only were you not going to get your money, you were going to not get paid at all. Maybe tell us what's your take? So Trump was talking about. You had the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth there. You had Pam Bondi there, Attorney General Kash Patel, the FBI. They're all working together really to take fentanyl and really deadly drugs off our streets.
Yeah, that's right. And look, what I love about the president the most is that he goes 7 days a week, and every day he's putting the fake news on their back feet. They can't keep up with him because he's doing multiple events a day, multiple press conferences, and he's driving things forward day by day. And they can't attack him enough to slow him down as much as they've tried. Yeah. And I think it's spectacular. I mean, look, and it's not like people didn't know that they voted for this. How many times did he get up there in the rallies and say, if you send fentanyl into this country, I'm going to go after you. Yep.
He
doing
said
it.
for years, "I will kill drug dealers."
That's right.
Point blank. You're right.
He said he was going to do it, and now
no bait and switch here at all.
What he's doing, he's blowing up ships in the Caribbean. Yeah, he told you he was going to do it.
Not many of those submarines have fishing rods on the back.
And look, this is how bad so I chair the president's intelligence board, and
can I just ask you, what does that mean? What is that?
It was set up by Eisenhower to actually be outside people that come in and give the president advice. And what I find myself mostly doing is adjudicating differences between like the CIA, FBI, DOJ, DNI, working with all of them. It's kind of like my old role. But Eisenhower set it up originally to try to stop kind of the defense industrial complex from being built. Didn't work too well. It was last probably really used well during the Reagan administration. And when the president asked me to do this, this won't be a surprise to you, he wants the intelligence agencies, the politicization gone. So we spend a lot of our time working on that. But as it deals with this fentanyl thing I was going to tell you about in Venezuela, one of the issues that I found when I came back in, because I was out of government, starting up Truth Social, Trump Media, and then coming back in, and the intelligence. Well, basically, there was no intelligence on Venezuela or Colombia or the drug trafficking. It didn't exist. Can you imagine? We had this free flow of people. Because remember, Venezuela was dumping people. They were coming through the Darien Gap, up through Panama. We had God knows how many people came into our country. I mean, 2 million, 10 million, I don't know. But it was a bunch of people, bad people. And can you imagine President Trump walks in the door? I walk in the door after being out of Congress. You used to get these briefings. They didn't have anything on Venezuela, Colombia, nothing. So so the Trump administration had to come in. People, Cash and Director Ratcliffe, these guys, CIA, and all they had to go in and start to figure, okay, what the hell's going on here? And of course, what they figured out is that this bastard's sending in. He's basically working with their cartels, sending drugs, letting them flow into our country.
And criminals.
And it's killing.
And criminals.
And they're all kind of interrelated. But you see it, Eric. You see it every day. I mean, especially when I'm back in California. I mean, we have zombies running around this country. Yep. Their lives have been destroyed by these drugs.
Congressman, I lost a child to fentanyl. I'm hyper aware of how important that really is, and hundreds of thousands of American deaths at the hands of fentanyl.
And for you, and I guarantee you, and people like you, you have no issue with these ships, subs, boats are shipping drugs through the Caribbean or into the Pacific. I think it's the right use of our U.S. military to blow them out of the water.
The Secretary of War was very, very adamant and very meticulous describing how they know and they're sure those folks are dead. And it's working. Trump points out it's working. Very quickly, only a couple minutes before the end of the show, you were there during a lot of this nonsense with Russiagate. And I'm speaking specifically of Comey. Bolton now indicted on a multiple count indictment. I'm waiting for Brennan, maybe Wray, maybe the other deep staters. You're part of the House Intelligence Committee. Tell us about what took so long to indict these folks.
Well, that's a long subject. It would take a whole show. But here's what I have to say about this right now. They're going to be lucky if they only get indicted for this, because the truth, these are crimes, they're real crimes that I would have gotten in trouble for when I was in Congress. I mean, anybody would have gotten in trouble for them. I'm just leaking, blatantly just leaking classified information like Bolton did, knowing that, I mean, you've seen the clips of him basically going after Trump for having the classified documents on the phony raid at Mar-a-Lago. But remember what they did to Roger Stone, right down the street here in Florida. Steve Bannon.
Colleague here. Yeah.
They notified CNN. They put, 50 people that invaded his house, took him out, basically in his shorts and t-shirt, got him out of bed. That's not happening to these guys. And so there's those crimes that are based that are crimes that normal people, if you're in the military or intelligence, you'd get busted for. The larger crime here is the conspiracy that these guys have been on that started with the Russia hoax back in the day to cover up for what? Hillary Clinton's emails. That's what that was about. It was a cover-up plan to smear Trump and the Republicans for Hillary Clinton's emails because they were afraid that they were going to come out. Started with that. And then right across the river right here, right across the waterway, not too far from us, is Mar-a-Lago. And it culminated with them raiding Mar-a-Lago. Mm-hmm. That is all one big story done by many of the same people. So they will be damn lucky if they don't get indicted on that, because that's what they really should. For putting not only the American people, weakening us abroad, ruining relationships, and making, I think, it very difficult for us to deal with Putin. Like, I don't think if it wasn't for all this Russian nonsense, Putin probably doesn't invade Ukraine, mm-hmm. right? I mean, if they just would have kept the dialogue open with him, he's a crazy guy, but kept the dialogue open. So now you got hundreds of thousands, if not 1 million people dead. So these people, not only did they do damage to the American people, do damage to President Trump and his family, to many innocent people, these people need to pay a price or they'll do it again. They'll do it again. So I'm hopeful that there will be a full investigation of everything that happened. I mean, you've already seen some of this stuff with the Jack Smith stuff start to come out. You know, there was no reason to this. You understand? I think your listeners understand this, or viewers understand this. It's not normal to raid a former president's home. Mm. That happens in third world countries. Right. It should not be happening here in the United States.
And the former first lady's closet and
Barron's
going through his drawers and whatnot. Devin Nunes, always great to have you. Truth Social CEO, he's killing it. This guy you're killing it with the streaming, with Truth Social, with Truth Plus. It's awesome. We're all over it. I love having you.
Yeah. And Real America's Voice has been great. You guys have been so great.
You've been great to the Bolling Show as well.